Alright, people, so I want to touch on Dylann Roof and the South Carolina shooting here and just the whole situation around what happened. And, you know, when something like this happens, we know that not only our government, but other governments throughout history, it's a classic tactic to stage stuff, to lie, to further an agenda. I mean, I've gone through numerous examples with Hitler, with Nero, with our own government that has done false flags, lied about things, let attacks happen that, furthers somebody's agenda. So we always got to suspect, we always got to question the government, whether they are involved, whether they, fucked up or did something wrong. And what really I want to talk about to start off this video is, was Dylann Roof allowed to attack? Because he wrote a lot of shit bad about uh, segregation and wanting to start a civil war. He wanted a civil war to start, and he was deeply racist, and he publicized that. And he got a gun too. It's really So there was a lot of shit going on with this guy. A lot of questionable shit. Yet I mean, you never know. Like his roommate was saying how corrupt this guy was. But you have to wonder if the police had any inkling of this attack. From all his, and he had some manifesto too. He had some website, where he was promoting things like the apartheid and shit like that. So you have to wonder. I mean, was the government onto this guy? Did they know anything about him? And this guy got a gun too, from his parents, I guess. It's like, it makes you think, did the government know anything about it? So we got to question that and look into that further. So, it could be a lone wolf. He could have just did this on his own. Maybe nobody caught sight of it, whatever. Maybe the roommate was afraid to speak up or whatever. But, you always got to question whether the government let it happen. Alright, so then I want to kind of get to the racial issue of it. It's made into this big racial issue. Everything is, they're trying to promote, this racial war. This whole racial war, and it's ridiculous. You have a Salon article coming out saying, like, oh, all whites are to blame for this. Like, some random, just some bullshit. I mean, it's just so Orwellian what they, what some people are saying in the world. Like all whites, this is all whites' responsibility, and it's made into a racial issue. This isn't a racial issue in my opinion, as much it is more of just some crazy guy, some insane guy going out and shooting up. It's like, this is more of just people being fucked up, but it's gonna be turned into this whole racial issue where people are gonna be thrown against each other, divide and conquer, and bullshit like that. And we got to break through that. I mean, we just have to, realize that people like George Soros fund the Ferguson protests. And is racism an issue in our culture? Yeah. There's 320 million people in America. There's gonna be some racist people always. There's gonna be some problems. But then they use the small problem of racism and just blow it out of control. As I said, with George Soros funding all these protests and looking to spur civil action, civil unrest. So you got all these little problems being exacerbated into huge problems by the global elite looking to fuck shit up in America and divide and conquer us like they're doing right now. In the answer, and then you got the people, on the gun control side of it, and where did this happen? Where did the fucking murder happen? Inside a church, one of the least places you would suspect a gun to be. If I wanted to kill somebody, not saying I do, but if there was a criminal thinking of shooting a place up, they would go to a place where there's no guns. And a church is a place where there's probably not going to be any guns. You don't see people, you don't see mass murders happen, in places that are well armed that have loose gun control. No, they happen in places like schools, in churches, gun-free zones. And I mean, even if we have a total gun ban, this guy could have took a car and ran people over. I mean, like, I don't know where you live, but I've been to baseball games before, and they'll, right after the game, a ton of people just walk out onto the streets, and there's just masses of people all around the place. If somebody wanted to take a car and go 100 miles an hour, they could easily kill tons of people, way more than 9. I could tell you that. So this idea that banning guns would, just stop murder, no. I mean, it's not the gun. It's the fucking person who does the crime. And just because there's criminals does not mean we have our guns taken away. More guns would lead to less murder. That's just common sense. If there were, people armed inside the church, then that would have possibly, stopped the murders. Or if people were armed inside the church, there wouldn't have been 9 people dead. I can tell you that right now. So I think the response to this shouldn't be more gun control. Should not be more unconstitutional gun control. It should be more guns. Let's promote people carrying guns for their self-defense, because I think it's like 11,000 people die each year from guns. Gun homicides, which is, obviously not good, but a lot of that's just gangbanger shoot-ups and shit like that. It's not, it's not like I'm going out and shooting. It's not like a common, your average Joe's just going out there and shooting people up. But again, it's the person who does the crime, and again, the response to this should be more guns. If we have a well-armed society, then people will be afraid to attack, and even if they do attack and kill 1 or 2 people, it's better than killing 9. All right, and by the way, when a mass shooting happens, let's say 5, 10 people die. If we look again, I went over the number, about 11,000, varies, die each year from gun homicide. So in the grand, view of things, is 9 people really a lot? No, it's not. I guarantee you that there's been, since that shooting, a lot of people killed by black on black crime, black on black violence, has killed more than 9 people in the past few days. I live by Detroit. I'm about a half hour away from Detroit, 20 minutes away, and that they always say about a murder a day happens in Detroit. So I mean, if you look at the whole situation here, black on black, you never hear, you probably hear Al Sharpton talk about how horrible this was, and it was a horrible thing. Don't get me wrong, it's a horrible thing, but you won't hear people talk about black on black murder or the millions of aborted black babies, will you? No, all you hear is, oh, this guy was racist, race war, whatever, all this bullshit to ferment a racial segregation, a divide and conquer strategy. And you hear people even like I was listening, Savage is even saying there's a civil war coming. I was listening to just mainline conservative radio, which I don't totally agree with, but compared to somebody, on the left, on the mainline left, like a Clinton, is so much better than Clinton. I was listening to them, and they're even using the term New World Order. They're like, yeah, this New World Order, they use it twice. I mean, it's just crazy, and it makes me feel good that people are actually, even Savage talks about the New World Order on his show sometimes. So it makes me feel good that even mainline conservatives are coming out, even exposing the New World Order, even saying the word. So it's great. But again, you have a lot of people on the left trying to, like your Al Sharptons, trying to just say all of these people are racist and just, again, try to create a divide and conquer, just this racial divide in America. And a lot of people see through it, but a lot of people are buying into it. And all the bullshit from George Soros and shit like that. So that's basically my thoughts on this video right here. Let's not fucking, collapse into a fucking divide and conquer racial divide. That's the worst thing. And let's expose the George Soroses too, and expose them as frauds and shit like that. So there you go, people. I'm just gonna end this video now. Feel like it was a pretty good video for me, but yeah, give me your thoughts on the Dylann roof shooting. What are your thoughts? I always encourage people to, give their opinions, because a lot of people say a lot, good shit, and even make points that I think are good, and say to myself, oh, maybe I should have included that in my video. So never hesitate to comment below. I always read all of the comments, so comment below. So there you go, people.